Hi, my name is Maddie, and it's vaccination day for the horses here at the RSC Ranch.
Today we're going to be vaccinating the horses, like Miss Maddie said. I'm Michelle. I'm one of the caretakers of all of the horses out here. And today we're standing in one of our gelding pastures, and we're going to be bringing the horses to the back end of our little kubota here to get their vaccines done. Vaccinating is not something that we take super lightly. We've actually consulted with our veterinarian. We do that every year. We think it's really important that everyone do that every year because different areas throughout the country, as well as throughout our world, deal with different diseases as far as the horse is concerned. So we wanted to make sure that this year we're vaccinating our horses specifically for the diseases that our veterinarian recommends that we vaccinate for. We also purchase our vaccines straight from our veterinarian for the purpose of making sure that our vaccines were handled properly. You can buy most vaccines anywhere through your feed stores or online, but you don't always know how those vaccines were handled or cared for between the place that it was manufactured and you actually receiving that vaccine. If you get it from your veterinarian, you can be sure that it was handled properly the entire time. And what that means primarily is that the vaccine was never allowed to get warmer than it should. So on the bottle, it will say how cool the vaccine needs to stay. So we brought our handy dandy little ice chest out with us, and we're going to pull our vaccine out of that so it's on ice, staying nice and cool until the time that we actually administer the vaccines. Today, we're going to be vaccinating for encephalomyelitis, rhinopneumonitis, Eastern and Western influenza, tetanus, and strangles. And I brought Ashley here who will talk a little bit about strangles.
Strangles, it sounds as bad as it is. It's called strangles because it actually causes suffocation and pustules in the horse's throat. It can be external but also internal, so all around like the trachea and where that horse is trying to breathe, there's pustules that form, and it's one of the most, by far one of the most prolific and easily spreadable diseases that horses can get. It's something that if one horse gets it and I swear just looks in the direction of another horse, suddenly everybody has it. It's so very, very, very easily transmittable. It's a terrible thing to have, especially when we have so many horses here. It's really, really important that we do vaccinate for strangles because if one gets it, everybody's got it.
Yep. And what is a pustule?
Ooh, pus. A little bubble filled with pus, and so they can get really big and there can be a whole bunch of them, so it would be like having that on the inside of your throat. It starts to close off your airway and close off the ability for anything to pass through there because there's just too much going on inside of your throat.
And it is a strep infection, so it's painful, so it's like having strep throat.
It's awful.
So we don't want to do that to our horses either. So we're going to go grab a horse and then we'll show you exactly how we vaccinate. All right, so what I'm going to do is have Maddie and Ashley help me draw up the vaccines as we administer to them to the horses. Maddie, you can go ahead and draw up 1 milliliter or 1 cc. When you look at the box with your vaccine, it'll tell you exactly how much to give it and then how to give it. And so we want to make sure that you, even though you have been told by your veterinarian and even though you may be a veterinary technician and you've done it a bunch, it's still nice to read the bottle just to make sure you're doing it correctly. So we're going to be giving an intramuscular injection. So that means this vaccine is going to go into the muscle. So the horses aren't going to like it as well as they like some other vaccines that are just under the skin. So it'll be fine though. So we're going to draw up 1 cc, which is the same as 1 milliliter. And we're using 20 gauge needles.
I don't know if you want to see.
And Maddie shook up the vaccine really good before she's drawing it up.
And then we want to kind of flick out the air bubbles. So this one is right here.
And you might not be able to get all the air bubbles out. It'll be
There we
fine.
go.
the vaccine goes back into the cooler to stay cool. All right, Maddie, who do you want to give it to? Scout or your horse Rico?
Rico.
Okay, so
Is that air bubble fine?
that is so small, yes. Going into the muscle, it'll be just
Use it.
fine. So I'm not going to stand directly in front of the horse because that would be bad. I'll stand a little bit off to the side. We want to give the injection in the neck in a location that would be good. I don't know. We never want anything to abscess or whatever, but just in a location that it would be really easy to treat if there was a little infection that happened from the vaccine. Nothing should. Maddie is going to tent the skin so that it's really easy for her to make sure she gets it into the muscle. You're going to go straight in. I like to distract the horses by doing a bump, 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 and then stick it in like that. And then they don't notice. Then we're going to pull back to make sure we have no blood. Perfect. Then she can go ahead and inject it. All right, you can pull it straight out and rub the area just like that. And that way we don't get a lump under the skin. So this is the strangles vaccine. It's an intrarostral vaccine, so it goes up the nose. So they give us a cool little stylet, and that is supposed to fit so nicely deep up into the nostril. Horses hate this, so sometimes it goes really well, and sometimes it's a real pain. The other option, if you just absolutely cannot get it up the nose, is you can give it deep down the mouth. So that would be our second backup if that's how we have to give it. But hopefully Scout here is going to be real nice and let me stick this up his nose. So we'll see here. Sometimes I like to make it so the horses can't see it coming. Then we're going to shove it way up in there and pop the whole thing on. There we go. And then I'd rather not get sprayed by this vaccine if he snorts. So I'll push his nose away from me. He's not gonna snort. Yay! Alrighty, and that's how we give strangles. He's gonna be like, it doesn't taste very good.
First thing most people do when working with syringes is stab themselves in the finger. So if that is what happens to you the first time you work with syringes, just know we've all been there. Because it's something really sharp and you're trying to be super careful. And I think the most common one, and Michelle will stop me if I'm wrong, and I know this is what I did when I was first working with them, is pop the top off and then try and push it back on and just stab my thumb right over the needle.
I did that too.
Yeah, it's very easy to do. Not the end of the world, I guess, depending on what you're injecting.
Right.
But with these vaccines, we just go, oops. And none of us are doing that today. It's just more what you do when you're first learning how to do this. So in animal science, going to college for animal science, you'll be giving vaccines like this. And I know I had an issue with a pig where I didn't poke myself. My friend poked me and I got a little bit of iron. So I guess I would have been really good to give blood that day. Lots of extra iron in my blood. So it happens, no big deal. Once you've been doing it for a little while, it's not as big of a problem. But that's something super common when people are learning how to work with syringes and with needles. So this is Bailey, and we're going to be giving her her vaccination right now. We're going to uncap the needle, tent the skin on her neck, so find a good spot where I can pinch a little bit of the skin. We're not pinching hard, just enough that we're able to pull up the skin. Take our needle, go tap, 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 boop. Draw out a little bit, push in all the way.
Bailey's very
So
sensitive.
we draw out a little bit to make sure that we're not getting any blood back into the needle. If we were to do that, we've stuck it in a wrong place and we need to go again. You don't want to be injecting into a bloodstream or a blood supply anywhere like that.
Okay, Bella, you're gonna have to move.
Oh, well, that was spazzy. I have another mouthpiece. Oh, see how this goes. Yeah.
What are you doing, Charlie? What are you doing?
That's right.
Our horses are too desensitized. They come and say hello all the time. And eat the Kubota even when we don't want you to. Huh. Oh, Rose. She ate the light.
So this is one of the more excitable horses when it comes to shoving foreign objects up her nose. So up the mouth it is.
Go ahead and tell, the vet had a heck of a time last year.
Yeah, she's just very sensitive. It's not painful at all. So she's just kind of, you know, it's uncomfortable. It's like, wow, what is that in my nose? And she's way overreacting.
So they gave us a different tip specifically for her that goes in the mouth. And then he said, treat it like a wormer. I don't know if we'll get it anywhere close to her.
But Michelle just keeps walking backwards with her and keeps doing exactly what she was doing so that Bailey learns, not a big deal, nobody is hurting you at all.
And then we're just gonna even keep touching her mouth. We're gonna pretend like it's a wormer. She's been wormed a million times. She doesn't like being wormed either. Well, that's half. Darn it, Bailey. So then we'll get it here. We'll get it in her lips. There we go.
Not so bad, huh?
Could be worse.
No, Puma.
So Maddie, what did you just do to yourself?
I poked myself a little bit with a needle.
It hadn't been into anything yet, so
It's not an issue.
it's fine.
But-
So we just make it bleed and then she'll go wash it with soap and water.
Yep.
But that's why we're real careful with those lids and the needles.
Yep.
You'll learn.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for watching our video today.
If you enjoyed seeing us vaccinate our horses and want to see more fun, family, ranch-themed videos like this, please like and subscribe to our channel.
We'll see ya.